Hello everybody, this is Burning Magician, and I am here to show you my revised Mesa build after kind of the last 6 months. I made a build a while ago, and it was pretty good. A lot of people liked it, and a lot of things have changed. Mesa's 4 got an arcane slot. A lot of things have kind of developed since then, so this is sort of a full final to what has happened since then. So first I'm just going to show you my mods, and I'm not going to say a word. This is for level 0 to 500-ish. This is for level cap. Only thing that really changes is catalyzing shield and rolling guard. Or, sorry, catalyzing shields and Reaper Spike. This build doesn't really matter. You just want to fire rate, maybe. This slot is supposed to have a Bronco Prime. I'm not going to be able to show it to you because I'm still working on making that, but you're going to have the Bronco Prime in this. The Bronco Prime with a Incarnon adapter installed and such. That is running dizzying rounds. That's really the only thing that matters. Then you have the Furax. Don't freak out here about the Riven. You don't need this. It's nice if you have it. You don't need it. For 4. This is for no enemy faction. This is for Grenier. Corpus. Level cap. This is still experimental, but this is level cap. Don't worry about that, obviously. And my pet. Okay. I showed you all the mods. Oh, and the claws, I suppose. You'll want to be running Bite. That's about it. Now, I'm going to explain everything. So, for starters, you want to fund 5 orange topaz shards, which gives you 375% secondary crit chance total when they're maxed out. Now, I'm going to go to Mesa. Corrosive projection is a guaranteed absolute. You're going to run that. Corrosive is because of the damage boost that you gain against armored enemies. It's insanely useful. Mesa melts anything that's not Grenier. Grenier is her biggest difficulty. You want to run it. Prime Sure-Footed is a personal choice. You can run Mesa's Waltz. You don't have to run this. This is a me choice because I like it. I don't like my 4 getting interrupted. That's literally it. You can run Mesa's Waltz. Feel free. I don't like running it. I don't need it. Streamlined and narrow-minded and primed continuity. Now, you're going to play this game a specific way, right? You're going to want to run a certain way. Sometimes you want to sit there in her 4. Maybe you like jumping around like me. And it's going to determine a lot of things on how you play her, right? Because if you see here, I like playing her in quick spurts where I jump in the air, cast her 4, uncast. Jump in the air, cast her 4, uncast. Like this. Like that. And don't mind those enemies not dying because obviously we have no build set up. I play her like that. So maybe you like sitting there and just holding this. Maybe you like sitting around and kind of just letting your 4 do the killing for you. Those are 2 different ways to play her. You're going to have to figure out what you like to do and what energy economy works for you. For me, I jump around, so I use those 3 slots. I use these 3, and I use them this way, and I have duration and efficiency. Ability range is terrible on Mesa. We're not going to be using it. It only matters for how long you like sitting in her 4. You see the ring right there that happens when you fire her 4? It changes how quickly that ring decreases, as you can see the FOV at the bottom. So don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. 4 her range doesn't do anything for this build. Next, you have Rolling Guard. This is a standard mod for any end game build. It's just nice. Umbral Intensify. Now, you don't need to actually be running Umbral Intensify. I am kind of maxing the amount of strength I can get out of 1 mod. So you want to get max Shatter Shields for this build, especially for this, because you're trying to hit, you want to hit max DR. It maxes at 95%, and you need Umbral Intensify. If I were to swap that to regular Intensify, I believe it would not be enough. It is enough. It is enough. So you can. I like running Umbral Intensify because it gives a slight damage booster 4. You want to have some strength for your 4, obviously. It gives a Serration-based buff. It's worth having. You want to max this out. Shooting Gallery isn't exactly a great buff, but you have it. And it makes Nourish do a bit more. So, this is just a nice one thing. You can run regular Intensify. Don't feel like you have to. Equilibrium. You're going to want to run Equilibrium. It's really good for her energy economy. Her pet has a sort of thing where Hunter Recovery gives her energy. So her pet attacks something and she gains energy. That's kind of why we're running this. Adaptation stacks with Shatter Shields, which gives you 95% damage reduction on bullets and 90% damage reduction when being attacked in general. That is 90 and 95. So that means any damage you take is multiplied by 1 and multiplied by 0.05. So you basically can just, you don't have to worry about shield gating until level 500. And if I'm being honest, yeah, sure, you can sit there and say, well, just take this build. This build works at level cap. But shield gating is kind of a process and it takes effort, right? It takes effort to do that. So I think that's stupid. I don't, I can't die in any game mode I play. Like, just do this. If you're playing Void Cascade, sure, you have to run this, but play this till then, right? Prime Flow is standard. You're going to need it. Arcane Velocity is one of the most important things on her. It makes her shoot faster. It makes her do more damage. Arcane Hotshot, right? Now, this is unmaxed because this game mode's only been in the game for a bit, and I've only been playing ETA consistently for a few weeks now. Now, normally, before this, we ran Arcane Avenger. This was on the last build because it gives 45% crit chance. Now, if we go to Arcane Hotshot, you can see here that this goes to 6% crit chance, 50 stacks of 6% crit chance. That is 300% multiplicative crit chance. Her base crit chance is 25%. So basically, Arcane Hotshot, at its best, provides a 75% additive crit chance to your regulators. Arcane Avenger only gives a 45%, as we just saw. So it's better to run Arcane Hotshot, but there's a caveat, right? You have to do this, you have to reactivate this buff every 10 seconds. It's not like the shards where you get a heat kill and it's done. You got to activate it. So really the only feasible way to have this work, and especially because it says you literally have to use abilities, is you have to mod our regulators for heat. That is one of the bigger changes that this build has over the last one. We modded our regulators for viral or toxin. Now we're modding our regulators for heat damage. So we're going to get into how we fix all that and change everything. And again, Brief Respite. You can run Brief Respite on the other build too, but I don't need it. I can't die. Run Brief Respite, run Catalyzing Shields. It lets you stay alive to level cap. I have gameplay of me playing this character at level 10,000 and Void Cascade. Just, you need this. Then you have the Aphentis. Now, this mod, this weapon, none of the modding matters. You want fire rate. That's really the only thing that matters. Because fire rate determines how quickly you're going to smack the ground. Now, if I were to take all the mods off this thing and throw it on the ground, you see how it takes a bit longer? It's kind of just a little annoying. But if you mod this thing for fire rate, if I can swap back, mod it for fire rate, you chuck it. You chuck it on the ground. And you can do reload speed too. Now, the reason this matters is because you get a buff called Ballistary Might. This increases your fire rate. You don't have to activate this when you're playing Mesa, but you can. And what happens is you throw it down, you get a kill while inside of it, and then the buff persists outside of the circle for 40 seconds. This is just an extra little tidbit. You don't need it. It's just something, if you want to min-max Mesa, this is what you run. Now, the next thing, again, I don't have the Bronco Prime crafted, so this is a little scuffed. But it's going to be a Bronco Prime with dizzying rounds. Now, and that's actually kind of dependent too, because here's the thing, right? I play Void Cascade a lot, especially with Mesa. So I'm forced to run Madarai. Now, that sucks because Vazarin has something that allows you to, essentially, it's a Void Snare, which allows you to literally take a bunch of enemies, put them in one spot, and kill them. Let me just, like, summon a random group of enemies, you know? They might not die because they're level cap, whatever, or level 200. But, like, you know, you go here, you Void Snare. Now, you might be asking, why is it important that I just performed a finisher and killed, 20 enemies? That's because we have Melee Crescendo. Melee Crescendo gives you initial combo on kill. This also gives initial combo. This also gives initial combo. This also gives initial combo. We want this because we're running Secondary Outburst. Secondary Outburst consumes all melee combo and immediately turns it into secondary crit chance. This is why she works at level cap. This thing running constantly is how she works at level cap. Now, when you're playing any regular mission to level cap, you can run Vazarin. You can run Void Snare. When you can't do that, you're not going to be able to run this because you need to run Madarai in order to do damage to all of the Thrax. So, for this situation, you have to run a Bronco with dizzying rounds. Dizzying rounds, when you shoot an enemy within 8 meters of you, they become openable to finishers. So you do a finisher. You have to do about 23 finishers with my Riven and my build in order to get to maxed initial combo. This means when you activate Secondary Outburst and swap to your melee, it's going to charge up to 12 times immediately. That's important because you don't have to do any work then. You could... Also, we're running the Furax Wraith here. I'll just go ahead and talk about this build for a second. This is a finisher build, a standard finisher build. We're running the Furax Wraith because it gives this buff here, 45% fire rate for secondary weapons. This is an amalgam mod. And then we're running a bunch of standard stuff to help kill enemies that are finishable. We have something that gives initial combo, a Riven that gives initial combo. This Riven, I rolled it 200 times, and the only thing I looked for was initial combo. It doesn't really matter what it has. It just needs to have initial combo. This is pretty high. 200 rolls, this is what I was able to get. You might be able to kick it a little higher. I took this. And this is nice because I have to do 5 less finishers now. And that's kind of helpful. It means I have to do less work to work her way up to that 12 times combo initial. So again, this build, it doesn't really matter. You just need melee crescendo, build for finishers, and then run this. And then if you don't have a Riven, don't worry about it. You don't need a Riven. I bought this Riven. You're gonna go up there on Warframe Market and see Rivens for this thing cost 100 plat unrolled. It sucks, but you don't need this, and it's fine. Like, you can get away without this. It's just helpful. I bought it because I have thousands of hours on this game. Okay, so that's important there. For the adapter, Genesis upgrades, really doesn't matter. I ran this when I was testing something, but you don't really, it doesn't really matter what you do. I would say, as opposed to running this, you probably, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You could run range, I guess, but because this was for another idea I had, but doesn't really do anything. It doesn't matter. You're building up initial. You don't care about your combo timer. So that's about that. Now we're gonna get to the pistols. Pistols. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you can see all my choices and say they're stupid, but I can tell you this, and this, and this are on every single Mesa build, and if they're not, it's a bad build. Every single one. Oh, and yeah, not galvanized shot. This, it's target cracker, gambit, lethal torrent, diffusion, and agility. Agility is also insane because fire rate. And then, okay, so this is a non-faction build. If you don't like dealing with, all these expel mods, you run this one. This just does heat damage. It has galvanized shot. Now, you could, right? There are sources of fire rate in the game we can still take advantage of, like accelerated isotope. You could run that instead. I like galvanized shot because we don't have many sources of serration-based damage buffs, so we're going to run this, and it doubles the heat procs you do because that's nearly a 200. That nearly takes your status chance from 10% to 20%. So it's like, why not, right? You need to mod regs for heat every single build you use because you're using Arcane Hotshot. If you don't like dealing with Arcane Hotshot, run Arcane Avenger. The loss is 30% additive crit chance. It's not that big of a deal. She works at level cap without Arcane Hotshot. I've seen it. So, Primed Heated Charge is my choice. Don't run a 60-60 mod. Her status chance is garbage. So, Lethal Torrent, Standard, you want multi-shot, you want fire rate. This is worthless. This does nothing. I did this because there's absolutely not a single good Exilis mod that works well on her regulators. Doesn't have recoil, doesn't have ammo, doesn't have slide, doesn't have recoil. You can't aim glide. There's no ammo. Like, there's nothing here that's working. This, I guess, is something. It makes her guns go from noisy to silent. I don't know if that really matters. They're gonna die in 2 seconds no matter what level they are. It doesn't really matter, but And then again, secondary outburst. Now for the factions, Grineer. I'm running the same exact build, except I'm running Expel Grineer instead of Gunslinger. Corpus. Magnetic is the best damage because how magnetic works is the moment they take a single damage tick of magnetic, their shields are gone. You can bypass their shields. So don't run Toxin, right? Don't run Toxin because Toxin requires every single amount of damage you do in health to be in Toxin. Magnetic says, okay, you hit them one time per magnetic, your 100% available damage per second can affect the Corpus unit. Just run Magnetic. This gives you some tiny crit damage buff that's really not that useful, but this gives you free Magnetic and lets you run Primed Heated Charge. If we weren't running this, we would have to run Magnetic and Primed Heated Charge. If we didn't want Magnetic at all, we wouldn't be able to run anything but Heat, which would mean we'd have to deal with the full shields of the Corpus, which is kind of spooky level cap. So no, this works. If you want to dedicate 3 slots to running Magnetic and not run this for some reason, go ahead. But this is kind of just the choice I made. It makes sense. This is for level cap. I'm running Orokin. Also, this is infested here because it's for. It doesn't really matter. Just put infested in this slot, obviously. But yeah, that's all I've really got. Level cap. Now this is a little experimental because the reason my old Mesa build worked at level cap is because I had slash procs. And slash procs are really useful because it bypasses armor. I haven't really tested this. You're going to want heated charge. This gives you some slash and some status. You could replace this with maim because status chance isn't a great buff on her. You could do this, which gives her more slash, or you could run hemorrhage. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I haven't tested this, but give it a shot. I think Karna Stinger is enough, and heated charge and all that. But But yeah, and then again, I'm running Orkin because I typically play Void Cascade, and typically the enemies, holy crap, what are they? It's Orkin. So that's about it. I typically run this build because I like playing in the 1999 area, and we don't have any of those faction mods yet. So now, there's a few things I didn't mention. Why am I running Nourish? Nourish is important. Her 1 is not good. We can agree with that. Unless you're running the Cedo, her 1 is not good. If you'd like to run the Cedo build, feel free, but this build's probably not great because the strength is terrible. Nourish is good because it gives her energy economy, balance, it gives her viral damage, and those are both incredibly important things. Her energy economy relies on Nourish. If you don't have it active, it doesn't work. Um, at least in how I play, obviously. Uh, you know, there's really viral is important. Viral damage is incredibly powerful. For many years, viral slash was how you killed enemies at level cap, but now that 90% damage reduction is the armor cap in this game, heat viral is also viable. So I run Nourish. Nourish is a very generic thing to run on Mesa. You can run a lot of other things, but I will tell you that there are not many options aside from this. If you want to run Roar, well, your strength is terrible. If you run on Zada's Whisper, well, your energy economy falls apart. Lycat's Hunt doesn't work because she doesn't shoot enemies in the head. She spawns bullets in their body. Mesa actually doesn't shoot bullets, by the way. She just puts them in their chest, so she can't do headshots. So Lycat's Hunt does nothing. So Nourish gives her free viral. Think about this. If we wanted to put viral on these regulators and run primed heated charge, that would be 3 mod slots of that. It obviously you get more viral. I used to run viral. I used to run viral when I wasn't running this. But now that we can't run viral. We have to run Nourish. So that's kind of the place we're at now. We got to run Nourish on her in order for this to work. But yeah, there isn't really much else. I can talk about the pet real quick. Now, this is where things get weird because here's the thing, right? This thing is pretty cool. This buff is really nice. 60% increased critical chance. I just want to point out that's about a 230% multiplicative crit chance buff to her 4. That's really, really good. Now, the problem is, take this thing to a mission past level 300 and take a picture and send it to me if it's surviving. It's not going to. It'll die. You can run Reflect. You can run Haste and Deflection. You can run Tech Assault. It's going to die. I can get it working, kind of, at some levels, but if you're doing level cap, you're probably not going to be able to make this thing survive. Run this thing, obviously. It works in most content. It doesn't die in most content. The equilibrium, obviously, this isn't running Hunter Recovery, which is kind of a problem. So the equilibrium value is not going to be nearly as high. I don't really know what you would take off. Oh, this. You would take this off. Apologies. You would take that off. No, we were not running Tandem Bond on this thing. Yeah, you make sure you're just running Hunter Recovery. Cat's Eye is incredibly useful for crit chance. And then yeah, this is just kind of just desperately trying to make sure it doesn't die. Now, if you're playing anything that isn't going to let you like do that, you run the Vulpaphyla because this thing how Vulpaphylas work is they still do stuff even when they're dead. Also, reinforced bond is incredibly useful, and you can't use it on this crap on this cat. You can't get reinforced bond because its base shields is too low. So there's actually kind of an advantage to running a Vulpaphyla. You can run the main things here, right? I'm sorry, I'm being a little overwhelming here with looking at between the cats. The biggest thing here is that you're running Tenacious Bond on both either cat. You're running reinforced on the Vulpaphyla if you're running a Vulpaphyla. This is a Panzer, by the way. That's kind of important. And yeah, just this is a standard build. We're running this so that we can get up to 1,200 shields. This is awesome because all of these viral quills that this thing shoots out come into Hunter Recovery, so it's really useful. Now, so that's kind of what I've got. I run the Vulpaphyla when I'm playing, regular when I'm playing high level content. Typically, I can get away with running this cat though. And again, I want to point out that when this cat is dead, this buff and this buff don't go away because the cat turns into a larva. Whereas if this cat dies, it sucks. It doesn't have any of the buffs up. I try to keep this cat alive as much as I can, but man, it struggles. So that's the build. Again, this would be a Bronco Prime with dizzying rounds where you shoot the enemy and then perform a finisher on them to get an initial combo. Now, there are so many different ways. Now that I've kind of explained everything, I'll explain some caveats and some side things because I have tried a lot of different solutions, right? The first thing I looked at when I was like, how can I make the initial combo work better? Is I tried to think of ways that the cat could maybe, for instance, you saw that cat had, let's see here, it had a bond mod. tandem bod. Look at that. I was like, oh hey, companion melee hits count as combo. What if like I can get a bunch of initial combo and then make the cat attack enough enemies to get me to a 12 times combo without me having to work for it? See that's a really cool idea, right? It's a really cool idea. You know who it doesn't work on? The frame that does tier 4 crits on stuff that you can't even see yet. So you can't this doesn't work because you're too efficient. You're trying to make a little small blender follow you around and blend the enemies next to a garbage disposal. It just doesn't work. You're not going to do this. So like I've tried that. I've tried keeping this cat alive at level cap. It doesn't work. There's just a lot of things going on to make this happen. So like you just it's a lot of thought. Also, again, make sure you're running bite because bite triggers another bond mod, tenacious, I believe. Yes, because yeah, you need this. So then yeah, that's really all I can think of. Um, there's a couple ways you could do this. Like let's say you don't want to build for initial combo, you could make another build that just has the highest amount of combo chance in the game. Like let me see here. Okay, let's just search combo. You could build around Firax Wraiths that do enough damage to actually get this to proc. Is that more work than just having infinite initial? Maybe, but again, it's your choice. You can run something that has very high combo, like you can run max attack speed, you can run combo, combo chance. The problem with that is it's going to be work, and I want to remind you, secondary outburst is a 30-second buff. Every 30 seconds, you're going to have to be punching enemies. That's not playing Mesa, that's playing Atlas with a gun. That's not the same thing. So I think it's better to do this. You don't need the Riven. I'm running it because I have money. I mean, plat, not anymore, obviously. I'm kind of low on that. And then, melee crescendo is important. But don't fret if you don't have any of these things. I want to point out, Mesa works, and I love her, and she works without me having to use the Aphentis, without me having to go out of my way to proc her 4 or her shards, without having to do anything with secondary outburst. I want to point out, you don't even have to farm secondary outburst because check it, right? I have initial of this. Look at that. Before I even killed anything, I have 100% of this. I already have almost half the buff before I've even tried to build it up. And you don't even really need the buff. So, like, obviously the testing in here is going to be a little less accurate because she has nothing built up right now in terms of stacks. So, you can say maybe this isn't quite accurate, but I mean, the idea is there. I want to point out she's hitting red crits, and we haven't even maxed this yet, and we haven't even obtained the maximum. I haven't even obtained the maximum rank of Arcane Hotshot yet. I want to point out that she's doing red crits, and we haven't even gotten close to the roof of this thing's power. So, like, again, it's crazy. I didn't even bother throwing this thing down. I didn't even bother maxing my secondary outburst because you're playing Mesa. Who cares? Like. And if you look around at these enemies, you can see they are getting viral stacks because of Nourish. Are they getting 10 times? No. But they are getting a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of the bulk of it. I suppose since I don't really have anything else to talk about, that could be the end of the video. But I think really just I'll go ahead and just show you kind of playing her in like I suppose a normal setting. I'll just go play some like survival. I'll go to the highest fisher I can find or something, and you'll just get to see some experience of how well this build works. Just kind of to show it again. I'm not claiming that I have ever found the best Mesa build. This is not the best Mesa build. I'm sure there's ways to get even more efficient. Do you know how many other ways we could do this? We could be using there are so many augments I'm not running. There are so many, what if we ran range and ran an augment? Like, there's a lot of things you can consider. So I don't want to leave this off with me saying this is the best Mesa build ever. I want to leave this off with saying if you can find a way to do something better, tell me, and I would love to hear it because I love playing this character, and this is one of my favorite games, and this is my favorite character on said game. So, like, if you have some way, some idea on how to make Mesa better, please drop it below. I would love to experiment with that. Another point I never even mentioned. I completely forgot about this. Her regulators, right? They have an arcane slot. There's a lot of things you can do with this. There's a lot, and it was a lot of things to hear when we were first finding out about this. Because now my first idea, right? My first idea, because back in the good old day, you would put secondary outburst on her equipped secondary, and it would work. They changed this. I didn't know that. So now if you put secondary outburst on her, at like the epitaph here, you're not going to get the buff on her 4. I was told this by somebody, and it was true because I noticed it and I tested it. So you can't do that. You can't now again, there's all these arcanes, right? I mean, there's a lot, right? Weak point, can't do weak point hits. This is on side. Yeah, that's kind of an idea. This is better. Cascadia Flare. This is again 240% crit damage and chance is insane. It's better. Cascadia Overcharge. Overshield is active. This first off, this is worse than this. I'd argue. And second off, overshields you're not going to have consistently, especially level cap. Can't do headshot kills. Didn't do this. Now I'll skip to the important and interesting stuff. This is funny. Okay, if you want to just be funny, run this. I'll be honest. There is a build where you run where you run that arcane that gives you strength and efficiency on on different status effects, and then you run this. I love this build because I'll kill an acolyte and they'll have like 3 stacks of every buff in the game. It's funny. So it's funny. This doesn't do anything because a big critical hit is an orange critical hit. So this literally never activates if you're playing her right. Secondary Fortifier. Secondary Fortifier. Now here's the thing, right? This I've tested and it's odd. It's just odd because at the end of the day, this looks like a really cool idea. Killing people, killing enemies faster, overguard skipping, doing damage, giving yourself overguard. That's all really cool. The problem with that is that secondary outburst in my testing is required for her to work at level cap, and this would shine at level cap, right? Because from level 0 to 500, we don't need it. From level 500 to level cap, this might be useful. I'm fine, right? Like, if you want to try running this, you can, but I will tell you secondary outburst is required if you wanted to work like at level 5, 6,000. So give it a shot, this, nothing. This is just duration-based buff. It's not that good. But yeah, that's really it. That's all. So I can't think of anything else that I haven't really spoken about. Again, I'm sorry about the Bronco. I don't have dizzying rounds to show you. I guess I could just go ahead and pull up that mod and be like, hey, here's dizzying rounds so that you know what I'm talking about. This here. So yeah, you just shoot an enemy and they're open to a finisher when you shoot them, when you're close to them. That's it. You know why I don't have a Bronco in my inventory? Because it's sitting here crafting right now. So we're just kind of waiting on that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go to the highest level mission I can go to without doing something weird. And I will just let you kind of witness this build. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. And if you have any ideas on how to make her better, please let me know. This is not the last Mesa build I'm going to make. I can promise you that. There's going to be another update where they make another silly arcane. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching.
Your weapons make music, and the enemy calls for a song.
Void Fishers. You need them to open a relic, but are you confident you can withstand their fury? The Orichan Neural Sentry is attempting to purge you from this place. Stand by for life support. A Fisher. Defend yourself and use reactant to open relics. They're dropping reactant. Use it to crack open a relic. We're going to need more reactant. Want to open that relic.
Just kind of want to show off I can't die unless I literally sit down and do nothing.
Those oculists are scanning for targets. They know you're here. Prepare for sentient fighters.
Check that out.
The longer you hold out, the deeper I can search. But if you need to leave, extraction is ready. Tenno, if you have a necromech, this would be an excellent place to deploy it.
Hey, check it out. We got a gold drop too.
Void manifestations, drawn to this cursed place of stolen lives. They will drain your life support unless they are destroyed.
All right, that's about it. Two things to note. I didn't even cap secondary outbursts because I wasn't running the Bronco and I wasn't running Vazarin. So just note, it wasn't even at full capacity. And secondly, I wasn't even running a faction mod. Like, that's how versatile this is. Like, you don't have to run a faction mod, but, you know, you sure can, and it sure does help. So, but yeah, that's about it. I thank you for watching, and I hope this guide is helpful. Take care.